God rescued you. Don't fall in the trap again. That's the title of this dream I had. This morning I woke up and I just had to write down some notes on this dream that I believe has to do with you, especially if you're a Christian man that has been recently close to someone that you were at one point close emotionally with, like a girl, right? Or maybe a few girls that were close to someone emotionally, like to another guy. But I feel like I saw just mainly a guy with a girl, and this girl was potentially a trap or a distraction, and there's even more meaning to it. So let me tell you about the dream and I'll get to the meaning of what you can do with that. So in a dream, there was a young man celebrating a special event at church, possibly Easter. But not with his family. Instead, he was surrounded by people from various seasons of his life, including a girl he had once been emotionally close to. Before the celebration, there was a scene of intense activity, like some kind of a game, and people were on boats, grouped into teams, each responsible for guarding their boat over, and the other teams tried to invade, jumping into the water, attempting to take over the other people's boats, right? And this guy with this girl were on a boat. Now I think it was just this guy with some other people. They were on this boat and the invaders were unsuccessful. They tried to get in the boat, they got in the boat at some point, but then they were unsuccessful. They were like thrown away and we won, right? And this seemed to symbolize spiritual warfare, protecting one's spiritual territory, purpose, or community from outside attacks or distractions. Now, back at the church, the atmosphere shifted and we were like in the seats of church, sitting down, waiting for the mass to be like happening. But then everything changed and we were there was this guy and this girl seated together, like in the same place at church, and then they were in one seat of a theme park, like kind of like a roller coaster, right? And then there was like kind of like boats, kind of like roller coaster, and the boat started moving backward. And this symbolized maybe a divine setup, a pulling back before a breakthrough. And then the boat plunged down a waterfall. It was like breathtaking, beautiful, even a little scary, but everyone, including the girl and the young man, used to care, and the young man used to care about. They were there and calmly riding, no fear, nothing. As the ride continued, the boats transformed into fast-moving cars, like Waymo cars, like just like the Ubers that drive themselves, like just in autopilot cars. Right? And there was no driver, just the guy and the girl were like in the back seat, and it was driving very fast. And at one point, it accelerated beyond control, and suddenly the car was about to crash at a red light onto a car that was stopped there. But just before the impact, a girl ran in front of the vehicle, triggering the brakes and saving everyone, saving the girl and the guy from the big accident, the big mistake that could have happened, right? And her intervention prevented this disaster. And this was possibly a divine person coming into the situation and saving it, right? Saving you from making a big mistake. Earlier in the dream, the girl had been speaking to her family on the phone, casually mentioning that she was with this young man, maybe potentially you, indicating a sense of emotional attachment or closeness, but the final moments revealed something deeper. What felt like comfort could have led to destruction, if not for divine intervention, right, with this girl. And the message behind this dream might be this: sometimes you have emotional connections that feel right, that are actually distractions. It might feel good. It might feel like there's like something just so random, it cannot be happening just by pure luck. It might be God moving me into this. It might be the case for a certain season, or it might be just the enemy playing you. It might just be a distraction from one's true path. God allows certain relationships, attachments to enter for a season, not for a lifetime. There are moments where, despite being headed in the wrong direction, God steps in to interrupt, protect, and redirect. And the dream maybe also suggests that we must be discerning in seasons of spiritual transition. And not everyone in your journey can come with you where you're going. And what begins with excitement, right? With joy, with all these fleeting emotions, something that you think it's not necessarily logical. Maybe you maybe have some rules, you maybe have some boundaries that you usually keep, and this time you break them unusually. You just break the rules for this person. And sometimes this excitement can quickly turn into danger if you don't stay spiritually alert. And so this is maybe a prophetic vision. I'm not sure of it, right? But maybe if this spoke to you, it might be the case. And it might be helping you navigating, your relationships and knowing who's from God, who's not from God, who you need to stop because they're distracting you more. Maybe this is a sign as well. Someone that you entered into your life, how has your life changed since then? Or is your relationship with God like more distant since they were with you? If you got distracted more from God since you were with them, that's not a good sign, right? That's a sign that they're distracting you from God, which is the worst thing they could do, right? Now, sometimes you need to pay attention to not let yourself be distracted, and this is your role, right? But sometimes it's them that almost intentionally, but not really, they just want your attention, and so your attention shifts from God to them. This cannot happen. You need to be discerning. You need to know, okay, I was on this trajectory, I was working really good, I was really focused, and now, since this happened, I cannot focus. I'm just thinking about this person, or I'm just distracted. I have these sins that I feel creeping back again. I feel tempted to do something bad, stupid. I feel tempted to do something bad and stupid with this person. This might be signs that you need to pull off, put boundaries, get back your focus on God and ask Him, what's the right decision here? If you want to be truly free and successful, you need to always ask God for it. And you need also to consume content from people that allow you to grow with God, right? That are discerning themselves. And so if this interests you, if you like this kind of content, like and subscribe, because this is all I help you just here become free and successful from sins, addictions, fears, lust that you may have and maybe holding you back from becoming the person that God made you to be. I just help you do this here because I've been an entrepreneur for the past 5 years and self-development space for the past 9 years. And I learned a lot, and I learned that the Bible is the only source of information I really need. It's been 6 months, I've just been reading that. And I tell you about what I learned here and what I believe God wants me to tell you and share with you. So if this interests you, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.